It's been over a year now since the trailer for Concerned Ape's new game Haunted Chocolatier was released, and since then a plethora of new information has appeared, so I decided to compile it all into a video for you, my dear viewer. I've split this video into parts starting from info from the trailer all the way to leaks that Concerned Ape didn't want us to see. The starting scene shows a chocolate factory, probably the players, and an observatory, which gets shown later on in the trailer. Then we're shown some of the town, including two buildings of note, the bakery and what could possibly be a blacksmith. We're shown both of these interiors, the blacksmith's looking like this, and the bakery looking like this. More of the town is shown later in the trailer, including the town hall and a stone bridge over a river. More interiors are shown, like Lily's home and a mansion where the player is seen giving away a present. This is probably proof that relationships are going to be a mechanic. Then comes the actual factory. There are two doors here, possibly one for the customer and one for the player. The interior of the living area is dark and there's a butler here, so that's something. Heading up the stairs, we find a large painting, and jumping through it, we're transported to a place where the player can fight off monsters and collect ingredients for chocolate. These ingredients are used in the kitchen, where we're shown the player throwing items into a large cauldron. We're also shown the player's bedroom with a storage chest, fireplace, a desk of some sort, and a strange ripped painting. This might be connected to the larger one. Now onto the store. Heading through this corridor, a small shop is shown, being decorated as well as being set up for the customers, with chocolate on the counters and the ghosts floating about. Another bigger shop is then shown, proving that the size of your chocolate store can be upgraded. This is also backed up by this tweet. Finally, the trailer ends with a diner or bar of some sort talking with a man named Nigel. Before we move on, here's some of the area I've managed to piece together from the trailer, and here are all the currently known NPCs. Now regarding combat. The player is seen having access to a stick, shield, and bow, but Concerned Ape has confirmed more weapons and utility will be available for more playstyles. The stick is a short-range weapon, and on the contrary to Stardew, it attacks on the way there and on the way back, which is a great improvement. The bow is a long-range attack, probably controlled similarly to the slingshot. The shield is seen blocking a slime's attack, but is explained deeper in a blog post. Speaking of which, currently on hauntedchocolatier.net, Concerned Ape has created 3 blog posts. Reading through the first one, here's a quick summary. In contrast to Stardew Valley channeling the power of the sun, Haunted Chocolatier will channel the power of the moon. At its core, Haunted Chocolatier's gameplay loop involves gathering ingredients, making chocolate, and running a chocolate shop. But blog 2 gets interesting. Diving deeper into combat, shields, and stuns, Concerned Ape explains that many attacks can be blocked with a shield, and in most cases, blocking an attack causes the enemy to become stunned. While an enemy is stunned, you can attack them much faster as seen in the video. He also talks about how shield and stun mechanics rewards more cautious, patient players who wait for a window of opportunity. But you don't have to play like this. You could just as well charge in aggressively, and if you pull it off, you'll defeat enemies more quickly that way. There will be other offhand items besides shields that will complement different playstyles, as explained before. And finally, the third blog post simply shows 2 screenshots. One of Burke the blacksmith's reactions, and what seems to be a science lab filled with ghosts doing science experiments. Moving on to the screenshot part of the blog, we see the player on an outlook tower in the painting world. Below, there's a fire risk board hinting at some sort of bushfire game mechanic. Moving on, we see a recipe book for different types of chocolate seen being made in the trailer. In the book, there are 5 different strings, the ingredients for the chocolate, how much it sells for, how long it takes to cook, what happens when you eat it, and finally a short description of the chocolate. Next is a screenshot of what seems to be a small, overgrown cabin with a bunch of honey, a painting, 2 people, one possibly being the player, and an enemy that spawns in the painting world. Another photo shows a small cabin in the woods, presumably the exterior of the previous screenshot. Although this seems to be in the normal world because it's dark and wintry, there is a monster that spawns in the painting world. Maybe this cabin is connected to the painting somehow. Finally, we're shown another configuration of the chocolate store, as well as a bunch of different areas in the painting world. Now, before we move on, I'd like to talk about the inventory. As far as I'm aware, we haven't yet seen it in any official screenshots, but I'd like to share an interesting observation I had. Comparing different screenshots, we can see that compared to the Stardew hotbar, the Haunted Chocolatier one changes the more items are held. This led me to speculate that maybe each slot has a designated item that it holds, for example, melee weapon, utility, range weapon, gift, and so on. Anyways, moving on to... Now, Concerned Ape isn't all that active on Twitter, but after scrolling through the replies of a whole bunch of tweets, I've compiled a bunch of semi-interesting bits of information. First of all, Piney asks if there will be anything like the community center in the game, to which Mr. Ape replies that the big old castle that you're living in is actually pretty similar to the CC, so it's possible you'll be unlocking different areas of the chocolate factory as the game progresses. Next, Fizzy Turkey Emoji asks if there's any connection between Stardew and Chocolatier, to which Mr. Ape responded, maybe. Chocolatier's in-game relationship to Stardew Valley was also brought up, to which Concerned Ape said it is a separate game, but there will be some shared lore. The next tweet outlined that if multiplayer ever comes, it will be similar to Stardew's. And finally, Xavier asked if Concerned Ape would add a pet rock named Xavier, to which he responded, no. I will not. This is so sad. But other than actual tweets, there are 3 screenshots unique to Twitter. And one of them is a massive piece of information, a screenshot of a big bee and a video named Bee Boss, confirming that the game will have boss fights. The next being a GIF actually depicts a ghost monster flailing around in its barrel. If I were to guess what it did, it would hide and disguise itself as a barrel, and when you tried to loot it, it would jump out, presumably doing something to the player. But we also got this screenshot of inside the mansion. There are immediately 4 things to note. First are the drop zones, which Mr. Ape references. They're probably a way to get down and not up, but what could these buttons do? Second are the owls that seem to be over an endless pit, and the structure seems to be breaking up near the edge. Third is the large door behind the player with the trees and the moon, possibly the entrance to a forest area at night. And fourth, the holes in the ground, which look awfully like spike traps. Maybe this part of the mansion is hostile to the player? Who knows? Around 7 months ago now, Reason, the program Concerned Ape uses for creating his music, hosted a live stream in which Concerned Ape and a CEO or developer of Reason Studios discussed music making, Stardew Valley, and Haunted Chocolatier. I apologize for not knowing who this is, please correct me in the comments. The important thing about this live stream was it basically gave us some insight into how the music of Chocolatier will sound. And along with the Bee Boss, which appeared later on Twitter, we see a slightly more vaporwave type of track by the name of Pristine Snow. Cool. This sounds great and could be hinting towards different weather patterns in the game, or just another track for the winter area your castle resides. But this isn't the only reason the Reason stream is important. We got leaks. While showing off his musical genius, Concerned Ape accidentally, or on purpose, showed us his entire music folder for Chocolatier. And by looking at a bunch of them, we can probably make some assumptions about the game. But do keep in mind, these are just assumptions. To start, we have Bear House, Beaver Zone, Bird Zone, Boss Fight, Too Much Like Mario, Clown Show, Corkinville, Quick Hill, Soviet. Okay, speculation time. Bear House, Beaver Town, Bird Zone, and Corkinville all sound like areas in the game, and with 2 entire towns referenced, this game could be pretty big. Boss Fight, Too Much Like Mario, although pretty funny, isn't grouped with the other Bee Boss themes. So that's basically confirmation of other bosses existing. But there's not much else I can think of just from these names. I'd like to end with some final thoughts and notes I made along the journey. At the start of the trailer, this castle looks nothing like ours. When this lady walks into the bakery, the door actually opens. There's a gun right here. What? Stardew Valley with a firearm? Where could this door lead? A second hotbar appears when placing chocolate. There's cars here, but no cars in town. Could this be Corkinville? And finally, why are there so many clocks everywhere? I am so excited for this game. Also, I probably missed something, so please let me know in the comments. Also, subscribe while you're down there. Bye-bye. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe.